So, I have the honor to announce Alexander, who will talk about laziness-driven development and will open up the very first, the uncomfort for today with his talk. So,
Okay.
give him a warm applause, please.
So, hello everyone, and as announced today we are going to talk about laziness-driven development. But at the beginning I need to start my timer, so I know how much time I spend. And we do a round of introductions, so you know better who I am. My name is Alex. I'm not really active on social media. You could always send me an email, so I'm an old school guy, but I have a profile on GitHub and my personal homepage. I have 20 plus something years of professional programming experience, which like professional means that I was paid for the software that I was creating. Currently, I work at Babel for the last 6 years, and my current position is principal software engineer, which should mean that I know something about making software. And what is Babel? Babel is an ecosystem of different products that help people to learn languages. And behind the scenes, it's more than 1,000 of people working in 2 different offices, the one in Berlin, one in New York. And as you might guess, Babel is looking for engineers, Ruby included, so please check this URL. So now, back to the main topic, and it's a laziness-driven development. If we talk about laziness, I could imagine that we might have different definitions of what it is. So I thought it would make sense to stick to the one which is close to the laziness-driven development itself. So definitions. The Cambridge Dictionary says that the laziness, it's basically our quality that kind of forces us not to do any work at all, right? This is very common understanding of what laziness is, and this is not this type of laziness we're going to talk today. There is another definition of laziness, given by Pearl Glossary, and it's a very long definition, but in summary, it's the quality that actually kind of forces you to work more and achieve better quality of whatever you're producing, in order not to do work later on. That's the laziness we're going to explore today, and that's the laziness I highly recommend to possess at some point. So, rules, right? So the rules of laziness-driven development. Rules number 1 is avoid manual work. Try to come up with some tooling or with some processes that help you not to have manual work. You also learn how to identify what is. So sometimes doing some manual work is fine. I'm not saying that you have to avoid it completely. The one example is testing, right? If you have to run test one time, it's okay. But when it's already 1,000 times the same thing, try to automate it, right? We all love writing tests for all our applications. That's one of the Ruby strongest things. But in order to automate tests or testing of our software, the software needs to be designed in a way that it's testable, right? All possible edge cases, especially, they should be covered with tests so we don't have bugs. So that means when you design your software and you don't want to run tests, or you do manual testing with the button clicking or something, you try to design the code in a way that the software could do testing for you. Your routines, right? It's if you have to repeat the same thing all the time, let's say when you deploy something, or when you do a setup of the project that you just clone from GitHub, try to see what are the things that could be scripted and automated. And again, similar to automated testing, right? These routines, they should be designed in a way that they're actually scriptable, right? You could come up with some conventions, like naming conventions, or conventions where you put files on the disk. So then you could write scripts, and then you run one line, and everyone is happy. And if you work in a project and you're not the only one there, and you have teammates, or you have new joiners from time to time, they will be definitely happy, so they don't have to run 1,000 commands or look in some source code. Just run one command and everything works for them, and they could be lazy for the next couple minutes. So that's the summary of avoiding manual work. Doing manual work, sometimes it's fine, but if you see the pattern that you have to do something multiple times, look for ways to automate this. Avoid answering same questions. So it is okay to talk to people. I'm not saying that you don't have to answer questions, but try to look for patterns when the same questions about your software comes again and again. Maybe there is a way to fix this because you don't want to spend your time answering the same question all the time. The one way, or one of the best ways to avoid doing something, is to simplify the thing that to the point that it is not possible to have questions, right? Everything is so simple, so people just don't have questions. It's not always possible. That's why from time to time we document our code, right? We try to help people to find answers themselves. And the better you document, the less questions you have. The next idea is to rely on standard tool sets, and the standard is in quotes here on purpose because standard might mean different things in different companies, in different teams, in different projects. But it means something that people don't have to learn, right? Because sometimes people don't want to learn, so they come to you and say, "Oh, I see you that you're using this thing. How to use it?" So. And when it's multiple times, maybe you would like to switch to another tool, which most probably people know how to use and they don't come to you. But still, talking to people is awesome. You have to use this. So, avoid reinventing the wheel. This is one of the things that I personally struggle as a software engineer because I love making stuff. And sometimes when I see something like a software tool, I say, I could build it better, right? I could make it, 5 or 3% better. Personally, I watch for this science. This is not a good science in my case. I don't know about you. But to avoid reinventing the wheel, because this is the price that you pay next. Of course, it's fun to build these things, but then you have to maintain them. And if the software that you're working now is just for you and you're the only user, do whatever you want. These rules and then the laziness-driven development is mostly about when you work in the team, when you work in a company, or the project involves more than one person. That's why, to avoid reinventing the wheel, try to use common tools, right? So people know how to use them, and they most probably already bulletproof, and then there's a history and then all the possible bugs they already discovered, so you don't have to do this. Rely on well-known protocols and patterns. Again, try not to invent yet another OAuth protocol or HTTP or something like this. It's great to be creative. That's why we have all these protocols, but sometimes we have too many of them, I think. So if you really feel the passion that you would like to build, to create or design yet another protocol, look around. Most probably it's already invented, but you could still contribute and make this thing better and not invent another one. So, and again, try to have as less customizations as possible, because then you have to maintain them. And having something like 0.5% different than something else, it means that next time when there is an update for the standard tool, you have to do extra work. And as a lazy person, you don't want to do this, right? So this one might be controversial. Again, as talking to people and answering questions, I'm not suggesting that you have to completely avoid third-party dependencies in your projects, but you always have to question whether it makes sense or not. And there's a good side behind this. So try to prefer simple libraries over complicated frameworks, because you need to spend time to learn them and understand them. There's time to support them as well. And you're not the only one. Again, every new joiner on your team or in your company will have to go through this process. So that's why try to, if you make decision to take some third-party library or a framework on board, make sure that it's actually worth it. Maybe there is something that could do the same, could produce the same results, but it's inside of the language that you use. Like Ruby. Ruby has a great core library, so you could build a lot of stuff just using this. And again, try to learn and understand what's already comes with the language itself. In many cases, you could find something. And I saw examples when people just don't know that something exists in core library. One of the advices that I use and then give to my colleagues, that every time when I don't know how to do something, or I found a new method in core library, I just look around. Like within the same module, I just read documentation just to get an idea what else is possible. And sometimes you could find diamonds there. And if you have time, look in the source code, it's also awesome. But time box this. So, I don't want to compete with Eileen. That's why I have a comment on this one. Try to avoid magic. What it means, there is no magic if you understand things, right? That's why Rails has a lot of magic, and the magic, I mean something that is a method that does a lot for you, and it's awesome, right? You don't have to do it. It hides all the complexity. But you have to kind of dissolve this magic and look inside so you understand. So if sometime there's a fire in production, this magic could bite you. The magic means that you don't know what it is, right? You don't know what's behind. So it's better to know, and then there's no magic. This is how you avoid it. You learn, you dig inside, and you dissolve the magic this time. So, in my opinion, so the second best code is the one that you understand, the one which is not magical to you. And if you don't know, the best code is the one which does not exist. So the one which you don't have to maintain, right? You don't have to learn, you don't have to answer questions on this. That's like the pure goal of laziness-driven development. But it's not possible yet. So summary. And I spent just 12 minutes, so we'll have some extra bonus. Laziness-driven development. It is not about avoiding doing work. It's not this Cambridge definition of being laziness and just sit on the couch and watch Netflix. It is not. It's actually about making better things, like with things with the greater quality, that you don't have spend time on the maintenance, or you could spend this time that you get this way to do on something more awesome. Possibly software, spending time with your family, something, this type of laziness. So, and as we have time, I could show you an example how this mindset and the laziness-driven development and these rules also, they are not super strict. It's basically a mindset that you apply. So every time when you have a problem, you apply, you try to get this feeling, I don't want to do this. And there might be a reason why you don't want to do this. This laziness speaks to you, and use this feeling of being lazy and not wanting to do something to identify how you could do it better, how you could automate it, or maybe how you could change design of your software that you don't have this problem anymore. That's the best case. So listen to your laziness in a productive way, of course. So task, right? And let's do an example and talk about the task. Task is very simple. It's ephemeral, just to give you an idea how this mindset could be applied. Let's say you have a task to create a tool, could be a command line interface, like a CLI tool, that gets data from files in some directory on a disk. It parses these files, does some processing, and then output results. Pretty common thing. So solution that I observed talking to other people and doing this kind of stuff myself, these are the steps, right? This is what needs to be done in general, right? You iterate over files, you read each file, you read data, do processing, and then you output. Very simple. If we pay attention to these steps, the parsing data and processing, that's the core of our task. This is the core of the tool that we need to build. Without this, like nothing makes sense. But these other three things, they look to me, so when I apply this laziness-driven development mindset, I see that these things, they're quite common, right? If the data processing could be very unique to my tool. It's sometimes hard to find something that does it for you, but you have to. That's important, so you don't have to build this tool. That would be ideal. If there's something which does exactly this, just use it. But let's say there is nothing existing yet, so you have to build it. Let's explore these three things which are gray now. There's something which sounds to me like extra or external stuff. So we could, of course, and then people do this, so that's the first thing that comes to our mind. Let's have this functionality, the iterating our files, reading them, and writing output as part of our program. Let's say it's a script. It's a very simple thing. It's just a Ruby script. Then pretty soon you discover that some files might have some like different permissions. You cannot read them, or they don't exist. The directory does not exist, or something like this. And then you have to support this in your script, right? You have to add some reaction. The script should be user-friendly, right? It should tell you what needs to be done. Of course, it could just explode, but this is not the nice thing, because people will come with questions, and you want to avoid this, right? Or if you want to avoid them, then you do this exception handling, but then you have to think how to explain people and so on in your script. So we could avoid this. We could kind of offload this task to something which is standard, right? You could read files and then in directories using standard operating system tools. Ruby is great, so it has really nice interfaces to read from standard input. So the OS level tools like cat could read this file for you, feed it to standard input, and then you just get it from there. If there is a problem and file is not readable because not enough permissions to access this file, there will be, of course, exception, but because you use standard tool, most probably people know already what this error means, because they used these tools. So you don't have to explain them, you don't have to do this handling in your tool. And the same when you do an output of the results of data processing to standard output, and not writing this into files or some path on the disk from your script, because again, someone might provide a path, but it might not be writable, right? And again, it's the same story. You have to explain, you have to do error handling. Just print it to standard output. The benefit number one for yourself is that you see the output. You don't have to read the file. You run the script and you see it right away on the screen if the thing does processing correctly. But it also gives a freedom for the users of the script to do maybe some post-processing or put files where they want to put them. And it's very simple, and again, it's already OS level. It's kind of out of scope of your application, which is great. And if there's any problem, that the OS will tell about these problems, and people know about these errors already, so they will most probably handle them. As a great developers, we do extra steps, and the extras that you could add to the tool is to provide in README some copy and pastable examples how to run your tool, right? Again, using the OS utilities, You could say this is how you read files from this directory and feed to my tool, or this is how you could store them. And if it's on GitHub, you have this nice little copy button, right? So people click this button and then run your script. You could add a built-in help so people don't come with questions to you. And as very additional bonus extra thing, you could write this tool in a language which compiles into binary, and then for the users of your tool, there is no need to add Ruby is tricky sometimes, that you need Ruby itself and runtime. And if this tool is just, if there is no necessity for people, for users of your tool to have Ruby around, something which compiles to binary is better. And I've heard from many people that Crystal is really nice for Ruby developers. Crystal language, I mean. So, profit, right? You don't need to remember how to explain and use the tool. You have README for this. These file operations, they are already on OS level. They are not part of your tool, of your software, which means you don't have to test this. You don't have to provide documentation for this. You don't have to maintain it in the future. And then it also gives you this greater flexibility, right? You give the users in a command line interface, of course, example, you give them flexibility to decide where the files are and then how the tool receives these files, and also how these files are stored. So it's kind of profit for everyone, and not just for you who is trying to be lazy and then do some other software development. So thank you very much. We have 9 minutes left. So if I'm allowed, then I'm super happy to answer any questions. Just raise your hand.
Hi. Can you elaborate a little bit on the question how to decide between don't reinvent the wheel and don't use third-party dependencies? So for example, if I'm trying to build a system and there is a third-party dependency that does exactly this, for example, one possibility for you in your example would be to use a library that reads and parses files for me, and that outputs nice error messages and all of that, if that would exist. What would you suggest how to decide between the don't reinvent the wheel and don't use external dependencies?
So if the library, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel in this case. If the number of functions this third party provides is very big, so it's not just one functionality, right? It's not just it does not. Let's say you want to read files, you do some processing, you do some output, and you actually need just the part that reads the files. Most probably you could implement it yourself. If it's not super complex and not something exotic, right? Then you implement it yourself, it's fine. But if you actually need all the 5 things that this third party provides, then go for it. Because then you kind of fine with the maintenance burden that it comes automatically, and necessity to explain how to use this third party for your colleagues or for new joiners. It's okay. Avoiding doesn't mean that you don't have to do it at all. It means that every time you ask yourself whether it's actually necessary. I'm fine to take this responsibility, and if the answer is yes, then just go for it. And the same with reinventing the wheel. If there is nothing existing and you really need to do this, and you try to change design that existing, let's say, protocol still doesn't fit, right? You have some special case, and you invent something like unique product which didn't exist before. Of course, there's a chance that there's nothing you have to invent. So this is not about kind of killing creativity completely. It's about asking I did all the things necessary, and there is no way, then yes, just go for it. But avoid the magic. If you took this third party, please make sure you understand how it works.
You said that you occasionally see software that and immediately think, or maybe not immediately, but think, I could do this better, and I can completely relate to this. Have you ever considered improving on the thing that you think you could do better instead of doing it, completely new?
That's what I try to do myself personally, and recommend to everyone, just to look around. Most probably the things, this thing is already invented, and most probably it does even better quality results that you imagine, because this tool or this protocol or this thing exists for a long time, and then people solve all these issues. It's highly recommended. Look around, use the time. Like if you would employ laziness-driven development, you get some extra time that you could spend on learning and exploring what is possible, and then again use this next time when you feel lazy and you don't want to do this. You kind of help yourself all the time. Does this answer the question? Yeah.
Thank you.
More questions? We have 5 minutes.
Thank you for your talk. I wanted to ask if you have any specific tricks in mind to promote laziness in how much mental effort do we need to write and understand the code?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. How we could...
How do you write the code to decrease the mental effort needed to understand it for other programmers and to...
Okay. So this one is tricky. I think only with practice. So every time when you write the code, try to imagine yourself in half a year, or try to imagine yourself being a new joiner of this company. And then from this position, look at the code. If it's unclear what it does, or especially why it does something this way, try to either change design. If it's not possible, then add documentation right there, so people don't have to hunt for this documentation. This would help with with the mental burden. There was
yeah. So what if you choose a path between inventing the new wheel and using the third-party dependency? You want to actually contribute to a third-party dependency with a feature that wasn't there before. But then you realize, maybe this is avoiding future work for other people, but it's actually adding future work for me, because now people are asking me to maintain the feature. So where is the value here? Where would you say on the spectrum? Are you, is the laziness only in your own scope, or is the laziness in a bigger picture of the community?
You should strive for bigger picture, of course. But if there's a choice between inventing something just for yourself and contributing to something which exists, I would probably go for the second choice, because then you have people, and then you also share the maintenance with them, right? If this change was accepted, it means someone also decided to share responsibility with you, so you're not the only one who has to maintain it later on. Seems like we have no questions anymore. Thank you very much. You're awesome.